Students, today I am going to teach you the second chapter of supplementary book for 10th class. The name of the chapter is The Thief's Story. Students, it's a story of a thief who was a boy of 15. The thief is a narrator of the story himself. He assumed a new name every month. Here in this story, he assumed the name of Hari Singh. So let's start reading the chapter. I'm going to explain it to you. I was still a thief when I met Anil, and though only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Here, he says though he was 15 years old when he met Anil, the boy was an experienced and fairly successful thief. Anil was watching a wrestling match when I approached him. He was about 25, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked easygoing, kind, and simple enough for my purpose. I hadn't had much luck of late, and though I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. He says, at the wrestling match, he met a man named Anil. Anil was 25 years old, thin person, he was a simple and kind person. So, Thief was successfully get his confidence. You look a bit of a wrestler yourself, I said. A little flattery helps in making friends, so do you, he replied, which put me off for a moment because at that time I was rather thin. Well, I said modestly, I do wrestler a bit. Okay, here he started flattery to make Anil friend, and Anil also replied that you are also looking like a wrestler. He was puzzled. After that, what is your name? Hari Singh. I lied. I took new name every month that kept me ahead of the police and my former employers. Here, Anil asked his name. He lied Hari Singh. He used to change his name every month for making him safe from police and the people whom he robbed. After his introduction, Anil talked about the well oiled wrestlers who were gruntling, lifting, and throwing each other about. I didn't have much to say. Anil walked away. I followed casually. After their introduction, Anil talked about wrestler of wrestling. The thief had nothing to say. Anil walked away. The thief followed him. Hello again, he said. I gave him my most appealing smile. I want to work for you, I said, but I can't pay you. He said, I want to work for you, but Anil replied that he can't pay him. I thought that over for a minute. Perhaps I had misjudged my man. I asked, can you feed me? Can you cook? I can cook. I lied again. If you can cook, then maybe I can feed you. Here, Anil asked, can you cook for me too? The boy. He lied, yes, he knew. He started living with Anil in his house. He started work for Anil for only for food. The main purpose was to rob Anil. He took me to his room over the Jumma sweet shop and told me I could sleep on the balcony, but the meal I cooked that night must have been terrible because Anil gave it to a stray dog and told me to be off. But I just hang around, smiling in my most appealing way, and he couldn't help laughing. Here in the stanza, Anil took him to his room that was over the Jumma sweet shop and told the thief to sleep in the balcony. He cooked food for Anil and him, but it was terrible. Anil gave it to dog and told him to go. Both laughed at the incident. To be off means to go. Later, he patted me on the head and said, never mind. He would teach me to cook. He also taught me to write my name and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentences and to add numbers. I was grateful. I knew that once I could write like an educated man, there would be no limit to what I could achieve. Later on, Anil said that he would teach him cooking. He also taught him to write his name, add numbers, etc. He was happy and was thinking that soon he would write and he will become an educated person. It was quite pleasant working for Anil. I made the tea in the morning and then would take my time buying the day's supplies, usually making a profit of about a rupee a day. I think he knew I made a little money this way, but he did not seem to mind. Anil showed full trust in the boy. The boy used to make tea for Anil in the morning and would go to purchase things from the market. Daily makes 1 rupee from the daily purchase, but Anil did not mind it. Anil made money by fits and starts. Fits and starts means irregularly. Means Anil earns money by irregular way. He would borrow 1 week, lend the next. He kept worrying about his next check. But as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. It seems he wrote for magazines, a queer way to make a living. Anil used to earn irregularly. He used to borrow 1 week and lend the next week. He was waiting for his check. As soon as it arrived, he used to celebrate. It seems that he used to write for magazines. One evening, he came home with a small bundle of notes, saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night, I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. One day, Anil sold a book to publisher and came home with a small bundle of notes. He kept the money under the mattress where he sleeps. I had been working for Anil for almost a month and apart from cheating on the shopping had not done anything in my line of work. I had every opportunity for doing so. Anil had given me a key to the door and I could come and go as I pleased. He was the most trusting person I had ever met. Now, the boy was working for Anil for 1 month. He had not stolen anything, although he had every opportunity for doing so. Anil had given him a key to the door because he trusted him. And that is why it is so difficult to rob him. It's easy to rob a greedy man because he can afford to be robbed. But it is difficult to be robbed a careless man. Sometimes he doesn't even notice he is being robbed and then that takes all the pleasure out of the work. Here the boy says the boy was working for a month and he saw that Anil was a very simple man. That's why it is difficult to rob him. The thief says it is very easy to rob a greedy man while it is difficult to rob a simple man. Well, it's time I did some real work. I told myself I am out of practice and if I don't take the money, he will only waste it on his friends. After all, he doesn't even pay me. Here, now the boy was thinking about to rob Anil. He was out of practice from a long time. He thought that he would have to take money from Anil, otherwise, he will waste it on his friends. He will even not pay him too. Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight steeped over the balcony and fell on the bed. I sat up on the floor. considering the situation. If I took the money, I could catch the 10:30's express to Lucknow. Slipping out of the blanket, I crept up to the bed. Anil was sleeping peacefully. His face was clear and unlined. Even I had more marks on my face, though mine were mostly scars. So Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight was falling upon the bed. The thief thought if he would steal the money, he could catch the train to Lucknow at 10:30 night. He was close to Anil's bed, covering himself with blanket, and he was thinking to flee away from there. My hand slid under the mattress, searching for the notes. When I found them, I drew them out without a sound. Anil sighed in his sleep and turned on his side towards me. I was startled and quickly crawled out of the room. Here, the thief successfully stolen the money without any sound. As Anil turned toward him in sleep, the theft money, he drew quickly and slowly, and he came out of the room. When I was on the road, I began to run. I had the notes at my waist, held there by the string of my pajamas. I slowed down to a walk and counted the notes, 600 rupees in 50s. I could live like an oil rich Arab for a week for two. Now the thief came on the road and began to run. He had notes in his waist by the string of his pajamas. He counted them. They were 600 rupees of 50s. He could spend them like a rich person for a week or two. When I reached the station, I did not stop at the ticket office. I had never bought a ticket in my life, but dashed straight to the platform. The Lucknow Express was just moving out. The train had still to pick up speed, and have I should have been able to jump into one of the carriage. But I hesitated. For some reason I can't explain, and I lost the chance to get away. Here, he reached the station without taking ticket. He went straight to platform. The Lucknow Express was just moving out, but he hesitated to jump into the carriage for some unknown reason. When the train had gone, I found myself standing alone on the deserted platform. I had no idea where to spend the night. I had no friends, believing that friends were more trouble than help, and I did not want to make anyone curious by staying at one of the small hotel near the station. The only person I knew really well was the man I had robbed. Leaving the station, I walked slowly through the bazaar. Now, when the train had gone, he was alone at the platform. He had not any idea where to spend the night. The only person he knew was Anil. He left the station and walked slowly toward market. In my short career as a thief, I had made a study of men's faces. When they had lost their goods, the greedy man showed fear, the rich man showed anger, the poor man showed acceptance, but I knew that Anil's face, when he discovered the theft, would show only a touch of sadness, not for the loss of money, but for the loss of trust. He says that as a thief, he studied many faces when they had lost their goods. The greedy man. The greedy man showed fear, the rich showed anger, the poor showed acceptance. While he was talking about Anil, he knew Anil would be sad not for the loss of money but for the loss of trust. I found myself in the Maidan and sat down on a bench. The night was chilly, it was early November, and a light drizzle added to my discomfort. Soon it was raining quite heavily. My shirt and pajamas stuck to my skin, and a cold wind blew the rain across my face. A little later, he found himself in a Maidan and sat down on a bench. It was the month of November. It was raining heavily. He became wet and felt cold due to chill wind. I went back to bazaar and sat down in the shelter of the clock tower. The clock showed midnight. I felt for the notes. They were damp from the rain. Damp means wet. He went back to market and took shelter of a clock tower. He made all the notes wet. Anil's money. In the morning, he would probably have given me 2 or 3 rupees to go to the cinema, but now I had it all. I couldn't cook his meal, run to the bazaar, or learn to write whole sentences anymore. Now, he was thinking that next morning Anil would probably give him 2 or 3 rupees to go to cinema, but now he had all the money and he could not do the work for Anil, and no more he learn and write the whole sentence. Okay, I hurried back to the room. Uh, I had forgotten about them in the excitement of the theft. Whole sentences I knew could only day bring me more than a few hundred rupees. It was a simple matter to steal, and sometimes just as simple to be caught. But to be a really big man, a clever and respected man, was something else. I should go back to Anil, I told myself, if only to learn to read and write. Here, he thought he should go back to Anil only to learn and write. He wanted to be an educated person so that he could become a big, clever, or a respected man. I hurried back to the room feeling very nervous, for it is much easier to steal something than to return it undetected. I opened the door quietly, then stood in the doorway. In clouded moonlight, Anil was still asleep. I crept to the head of the bed and my hand came up with the notes. I felt his breath on my hand. I remained still for a minute, then my hand found the edge of the mattresses and slipped under it with the notes. The boy hurried back to Anil's room. He opened the door and he found Anil asleep. He put the notes under the mattress of Anil. I woke the next morning to find that Anil had already made the tea. He stretched out his hand toward me. There was a 50 rupee note between his fingers. My heart sank. I thought I had been discovered. Here, next morning, the boy awake late. Anil had already made tea. He gave the boy a 50 rupee note. The boy thought that he had been caught by Anil. I made some money yesterday, he explained. Now you will be paid regularly. But Anil explained he made some money yesterday and from now Anil pay the boy regularly. My spirit rose, but when I took the note, I saw it was still wet from the night's rain. Today we will start writing sentence, he said. He knew, but neither his lips nor his eyes showed anything. I smiled at Anil in my most appealing way, and the smile came by itself without any effort. Anil knew about the dishonest act of the boy, and all the same, he did not reveal his feeling. He said to the boy, today we will start writing sentence. The kind action of Anil changes the heart of the boy. So that's all for the day. Thank you.